Good afternoon everyone, welcome to another tutorial for the Crafternoon Box. I'm Tangi from Papercrafting Australia and thank you for joining me on this lovely Saturday. If you're joining me live, if you're coming back at another time and watching the replay, welcome. Lovely to have you with us. Hello Tony Bensley, hello Margaret, it's lovely to see you in our YouTube feed. Of course we're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube, just so that if one of those platforms happens to have a little bit of a hissy fit, we've got a bit of a backup for people to go to, and also just gives people a bit of a choice as to how they join in and what their preferred method is of joining in. Please excuse the crazy that's going on in the background here. Wrong shoulder. There's a lot of packing and preparation going on for our house move, so that's fun. I'm just going to double check quickly just to make sure we've got everybody in on Facebook. I don't know if there's anybody in there at the moment, but if you, oh no, there's two people there. If you're in on Facebook, say hi in the chat, let people know where you're from, unless of course it's also Tony and Margaret who are on YouTube doing both of them, which does happen quite a bit. People like to put one on the TV and one on their laptop or something like that and go from there. So yeah, so it's a big day here at Papercrafting Australia, because after this tutorial today I am running the biggest Crafternoon tea, which is our fundraiser for the Cancer Council. So we're going to be making some of these beautiful little paper, whoops, spin the right way, Tangi, paper daffodils. So if you have purchased the kit for that one, I will be joining you in about an hour and a half. So we've got a quick turnaround today, so hopefully this project won't take us too long, but it will still be enjoyable to get through. So we're going to be using products from the May Crafternoon Box, and this is our final tutorial for May. So the fourth one in the series. We're going to go back to using the turning template again, just so I can show you how to kind of elongate your design so that you can make a rectangular card shape rather than the square one that I did for you last time. Sharon, Mum's excited for the Crafternoon tea. She's already been messaging me about decorating her space, which is great. So there were some decorations in the kit for that one, and it's going to be a fun time. I've got a few little parties going on around the country. Unfortunately, here in Melbourne, we are locked back down again for COVID for another 7 days. So it's just kind of fortunate that I do this on live streams rather than in person, because we wouldn't have been meeting today. And there's lots of ways that, you know, even though we can't all get together and do the Crafternoon tea this afternoon, we can do it all from home. So let's maybe have a look at what we are working with today. So this is the example that I put together for us for today. So as you can see, grab the last ones out. Excuse the noise, and you guys know what it's like. There's tissue paper and stuff in your boxes. Where are you? So these are the ones that we did last time. So as you can see, oops, upside down, Miss Jane, the squarer shape. I did another one somewhere, but anyway, this one will do. So we had the square shape, and of course that's because we put a piece of 4x4 inch cardstock into our turning template and just kept it as is and just trimmed off the bottom of that card, just using a normal A6 size card there. So what I'm going to show you today is how to basically split that one in half, elongate it so that you've got a longer card and you don't have to waste your cardstock if you've got some pre-cut and scored card bases. So we're going to be heading along that route today. Oops, get that in there. So to do this, I have got obviously an A6 card base. So pre-scored, these, there would have been 4 of these in your kit, so you've got a couple of them. So I'll just fold that one into space. I've got the Papercraft pearls, and these are ice green, these lovely little pearls. And we have got some white Papercraft cardstock, and I'm going to go a little bit, not too monochromatic, but a little bit monochromatic today with some of my bits. So this is just a 4x4 inch piece of white, smooth white Papercraft cardstock. I've just cut that down already. And this is the Couture Creations Photographic Black cardstock. So it's another smooth cardstock rather than the weave texture of the regular Papercraft stock that comes in your kits. We have also got the stamp set from Precious Marika. So these are the ones that come from Holland through Couture Creations for us. So I'm going to be using some more stamps on that with our turning template. I'm also going back to a stamp set that we got in the March kit, which is the, what's it called? Celebrations. So it was the sentiments that we got for that one. I've also got my Kaisercraft green glitter washi tape. I've got some double-sided Couture Creations thin double-sided tape. I've got a stamp block, and I've got my Gina K inks. So these ones we have gotten so far in your kits. So January, February, March, April and May. So we've got Craft Brown, a Passionate Pink. Was it Passionate Pink we got? Yes. We've got Wild Lilac. We've got the Black or Obsidian Amalgam ink. And then Apple Mint there. These ones in the other side of my little caddy there, these ones are coming in the rest of this year's Crafternoon boxes. So keep your eye out. I can tell you that we will be launching the July boxes. No, what are we up to? The July boxes. On Monday evening this week at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And I'll give you a hot tip. This is the next colour that's coming. So this one is called Soft Stone. So it's a grey. It's a medium grey, so you can stamp it off and stamp some lighter grey, or you can, stamp it as is and have it a little bit heavier. So it's very versatile, and that will be getting used in the kit for July. So you'll see that come out, and we'll preview that and put it back on sale on Monday night. Okay, let's do some stamping. So I've also got, clearly, my turning template in my stamp press. So this is the turning template here. Mine's still stuck down from our last tutorial. I haven't used my stamp press for anything else. If you don't have a stamping platform tool, we do sell them in the Papercrafting Australia store. So you can get that online at papercraftingaustralia.com. I've just popped washi tape down, but you've got the thick acetate turning template. Clearly says to you here it's the 4-inch turning template, so that you know what size cardstock to cut to put into your template. You might have other sizes that you use, but we're going to use the 4-inch one today because it fits just inside an A6 card base. Cool, so I've got that ready to go. I'm just going to clear a few bits and pieces off here that I don't need right this second. Don't need those yet. I will need those. Now I have already gone and selected my stamps based on what I had done earlier in the day with my little example that I've made here. So for this one I have, out of, which way around does this normally sit in the pack? I think it's this way. But anyway, if you've got your stamps this way, I've chosen this rose and this little kind of leaf. I've also got this long sprig here, and then this little curly kind of one down here. And I've also chosen to use the little stem just from down the bottom here, and that paired with the little rose itself will give you that kind of rose on a stick type of image. So that's where we're going. So I've got all my little stamps here. I'm just going to stamp one at a time, just so that we don't get too far ahead of ourselves. And if this is the first time that you're watching a turning template stream, then you are kind of going to catch on to what is going on. Hello, Cheryl. Thank you for joining us on Facebook. We are ready to get stamping. So I'm just going to pop my 4x4-inch piece of cardstock, and actually this is cut a little bit. It's not 4x4, you know. Maybe that's not the piece. I had one pre-cut. Oh, here we go. It's going to be one of those days, and that's going to be helpful because I've got 2 streams to get through today. Let me just dig in here. Let's see if that's, yeah, that's thinner as well. Oh, goodness me. Kind of lucky that I've just got a whole lot of cardstock right at my disposal in the store. Bear with me, everyone, while I get a fresh piece cut. We'll cut one that's actually 4x4 inches, and that will probably help a lot. Just have to cut that one off camera because my other trimmer, which will cut this size, is on the other side of the room, as usual. Won't be too long with you. Okay, fingers crossed this is now 4 by 4 inches. And of course, now's the time that, perfect. Now's the time that the gentleman next door has decided during my live stream is the perfect time for him to mow the lawn and make a lot of racket and do God knows what right next door. But anyway, we'll get through it. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and make a pattern the same way we did last time. We used this turning template. So I'm just going to pop my magnets on, and I'm going to start with the long thin sprig. I'm going to try and place it quite central, but this time I'm going to try and get it to curve around a little bit rather than it being so up and down like I did in my example. So I'm going to let that one curve around, but I want it fairly centered. So I'm just going to pick that up on the door of my stamp press, and I'm going to go in with some apple mint because, you know, green's green. I'm going to make quite a lot of this one green rather than how I made the example card. So I'm just going to pop that down and do a nice impression. And I am going to turn on the diamond sides as well as the square sides because I want that pattern to be fairly full. So I'm just going to head around and do 8 of these. But I hope you've all had fantastic weeks. We've had some good news this week, and that is that even though we're in lockdown, that's not the great news this week. And we are going to have our house completed. This time next week, we'll actually be out. Actually, we probably will have already done it in the morning. We're going to be going out to the house and doing an inspection, making sure things are finished and how we expect it to be before the bank then goes and does a valuation. But it's very exciting. So carpets were going down this week and paint is getting done. The driveway is about to get formed up. And yeah, so it's all go, which means my room is about to get a lot messier because I do need to pack all of the store products as all the stock. I've also got some of the preparations for next month's Crafternoon Box to get prepped and ready so that it's not such a chaotic shambles whilst we're moving, and I can have things pre-done where possible and just throw some bits in once they arrive. But all of the things that we're waiting on for this month's boxes will be coming from Australia. They're not coming from overseas. So we've got a limit on the number of boxes that we're able to sell this month. So those of you who are already subscribed, you are safe. Anybody who is not a subscriber yet, there will be very, very limited opportunities to join in for July because we can't wait for stock to come over from America this time round. It is getting better, our kind of relationship with Gina K and their stock and shipping procedures now that they're in their new warehouse, but we are still at the mercy of their suppliers being able to get those items of stock to her. So a lot of their factories and things, particularly with their ink suppliers, did close down, and they are having a pretty tough time reopening and getting things back on track. So not so much fun, but we're getting there. So I've just got my Gina K Designs tidy towel. So it's like a little bit of a chamois. It does dry hard and crispy, but as long as you don't have it in a, not having it in a Ziploc bag or a closed environment, it won't go moldy. It just dries hard, almost like cardboard. And then you can just re-wet it and go from there. So I'm going to swap to the rose stem, and I'm going to kind of pop that one just alongside where we had that little frond before. give it a little bit of room, knowing that I've still got this little filigree one and the, I don't know what you call that, just another little bit of brush or stem there. So I'm just going to pop that rose in there. I think this will fit okay. And again, I'm going to stamp this with the Apple Mint Green. Speaking of green, there's a Joanne Green joined us on Facebook. Hello, Joanne. Thanks for being with us. Lovely to have you. Thanks, Margaret, for the best wishes on the house. Congrats on the house. And no, unfortunately, Margaret's not joining us for Crafternoon tea this afternoon for biggest Crafternoon tea, making daffodils. But, I mean, we'll miss you. It's just not the same. All right, so just turning into all of the 8ths again. Just giving it a nice little press down. So yeah, depending on what happens with the house next week, we might be live at 2 o'clock. I might put it off to Sunday just to see how things go. We're not really sure how long this inspection walkthrough should take, but I mean, we do want to, because we've had some troubles with these tradies, just with some of the quality of their work and just things that they like to sneak past us and think that we won't notice. We just want to really make sure that we're onto it and don't kind of say, oh yeah, that's fine, and get the bank to do all their bits, and you know, later on we don't have any comeback as to getting things fixed. I mean, I know we've got a period of time for defects and things like that, but I think if we can't get them to, I mean, the thing is that we've really only got the holding of the final payment from the bank as any real leverage. So if there's anything that we think they might kick back on as, oh, that's not really, you know, under the defect process, you know, we don't have anything after that. If they say kind of that's not covered, that's not what the defect process is for, or whatever it might be, then we don't have any other tricks. So we will see how we go. So just going to wipe off this stamp, give it a little clean, whoops, flick it off, and I'm going to grab, which one? I think I've got the little filigree one here, and I think I'm just going to try and get that to bend a little bit around that rose petal that's in there. Actually, no, I need it to go up and out there somewhere. I think I've rather cleverly, yeah, and then that one can go inwards. Just got to try and make them all fit. I've just managed to get some that actually bend the same way, so they don't really line up so fantastically. But you can see I'm still just using the Apple Mint Green. I've got a little bit of a vision for how this is going to pan out, and that is that I'm going to use a lot of green and the black obsidian amalgam ink and cardstock for this one. So it's going to be mostly green and black and white. And then I'm just going to do the roses in the wild lilac or purple colour, just for a pop of colour. Other colour. Yeah, I never thought, Sharon, I never thought building was going to be such a saga, but this is certainly this process has put me off building again anytime soon anyway. I mean, luckily I can't afford to build again right now, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Pretty soon we'll have a house. Ben cooked lunch today, so all he was doing was reheating some massaman curry and making some rice in the rice cooker, and then he fried off some naan bread, and he was like, I can't wait to not cook in this kitchen ever again. It's something that we've been saying. This kitchen that we're in is tiny, and we're quite heavy cooks, I suppose you'd say. Like we like to cook and eat, and we like to experiment with food and things like that. So this is the worst kitchen in the world for us. So ever since we knew we were building a house, we were like, right, never going to have to cook in this kitchen again. But of course, in the meantime, we have to cook in that kitchen. Alrighty, we're nearly round. We're nearly round. Okay, is it just this one? Yep. Happy days. So yeah, the new kitchen. We're not going to know ourselves. I'll have to do a little video walkthrough for you guys once we get over there and get settled. Okay, just before I take my stamp off, I'm just going to make sure, because I've been doing a lot of talking while I'm at it, make sure that everything is complete with that one, because the last thing you want to do is take your stamp off here and move it and then realize that, oh, actually I've missed one and I need to go back and try and get it in the right spot, which is the whole point of having this template, and it wouldn't be much fun. So this little leaf I'm putting back to front, upside down, Miss Jane, just to fill in some more of that space there. Oh, and I've done that thing where I forget to put my magnets down and it lifts my cardstock up. That's okay. That's why we've got the template. It holds it all in position. Yeah, Margaret, my massaman curry was delicious. I'm kind of hoping that I don't go into a food coma, particularly because I've got another live to do later on. So it was quite carby. The rice and the naan bread, and yeah, but it was delicious. So that was good. Alrighty, so we're just making our way round and round and round. Sing out if you've got any questions, guys. I know we've kind of seen this process before, but it's you know, sometimes there's something you haven't thought of before, or I do something a little bit weird. You're like, why did you do that? But let me know. But I'd really love if people would start sharing some of their finished pieces, even if they're not ones that we've made in the tutorials. Share them to our Facebook page for Papercrafting Australia. We'd really love to see what you're making with the goodies that come in your box, or what you're making in general. I know a lot of you have some pretty decent craft stashes already, so I'm sure you're making lots of projects all the time. But share a bit of love. Show us what you do. It's all part of what we're trying to build. It's just a little, Australian craft community with a lone Canadian Margaret thrown in for good measure. We love having you here. This isn't all about being an Australian group. It's about being crafty, but obviously we're based in Australia, and most of our craft times work for the Aussies. You know who I'm missing today? I haven't seen Marie. I know Marie's coming in later for the Crafternoon tea, so hopefully we'll get to see her then. Maybe 2 in a day was a little bit much for some people. I understand. I shouldn't have done 2 on one day. It's going to be a nice quick turnover in between, because we're doing the next stream on a different platform, just so it's a little bit more locked down and private. And also we're going to be all on camera, so I will get to see your lovely faces again, which would be good. I know I've spent nearly, what have we spent, 5 months with Crafternoon Box so far, and quite a few of the Crafternoon tea people have been with me all the way along, and we've never seen your faces, so it's going to be fun. It's going to be so fun. Okay, so I'm going to do the final piece, which is the little rose. I'm going to do that in purple. So we've just done a monochromatic palette, and I think the green works really lovely with this, particularly because it's lots of floral, and that's clearly the colour that works with the green. So now I'm just going to add a pop of purple, just to add some interest, and just, there's not too many green flowers in the world, so just kind of want to make it a little bit realistic, I suppose. You don't have to be realistic in the craft world, but for this one, I just think it would be nice. Excellent. Of course, if you are wanting to do an alternate pattern, so say with these roses you wanted to have a pink one then a purple one, you would just use the one colour and have your piece of paper in the turning template either on the square orientation or on the diamond orientation, and just do the 4 in that placement, and then swap to the other option and stamp in the other colour. So it's the turning template really is the benefit of being able to do those placements and do those repetitive patterns. We did a mandala type pattern last time, which even though we did it in a monochrome, just black stamping, you all saw what kind of effect we could get out of that kind of thing. Let's turn. So Margaret, you've made a Christmas card. Gosh, you're getting prepared early. Do you mind making some for me? Because I haven't even thought about Christmas cards, like other than thinking about the Crafternoon boxes that'll come out. So we'll be doing November and December's boxes will be Christmas, and the December box will have half of it will be a new year type theme, because obviously the later we get into December, it's too late for Christmas cards. It's too late to send them anywhere. So there's kind of a little bit of a less of a rush, but we'll definitely be doing Christmas items in November. But yeah, Christmas cards I'm just not even on top of. Tony's been getting the craft room ready all morning. Had to pinch the camera off your partner, but had to get him to set it up for me. So you couldn't really steal it without him knowing. That's always tricky. That's like Ben has a box of lollies in his office room. His room is called, mine's the craft room, his is the Imaginarium. So that's where he plays his D&D games and does 3D printing and carries on like a pork chop and does whatever boys do on computers. And so he has this box of lollies, and I've been working from home. And I've got to say, I've snuck a few lollies. So I went in and topped it up the other day with some other lollies because I'd gotten some for my desk. And I said to him, I said, "Oh, hey, I put some lollies in your box." And he went and had a look, and he's like, "I'm not really as keen on those as you are, so you can have those ones if you like." And he didn't even notice I'd snaffled his. I hope he's not watching this from the lounge room, because I'm going to be in big trouble. Oh, too good. Okay, so you can see that I've done my circular design. So with the green and then the purple stamps. Now all I'm going to do to kind of elongate this is I'm just going to cut it in half. What have we said? Margaret, you spent a chunk of time doing a Christmas card. Oh, you've got plenty of time on your hands by the sounds of it to do Christmas cards in May. I love how organised you are though. That's fantastic. So I'm just going to take this one and just cut. So we had 4 inches by 4 inches. So whichever side you want to cut on, just cut 2 inches and you're good to go. Get rid of my, oh no, I need my little guillotine. Also, while I'm at it, going to cut down a piece of the black cardstock that I had. Now this one I'm going to cut to 4 1/8 of an inch, which I know I've already done this one. I cut this one down earlier. So 4 1/8 of an inch by 1 3/4. And this is always a tricky spot to get to on this little mini guillotine. But I've kind of got to get used to it, because this is the one I'm going to be taking on tour when I am travelling with the theatre show in the coming months. So 4 1/8 by 1 1/4. No, 1 3/4. And then, let's see if this one is what no, that's a 4 by 4. This is what I cut down earlier. So then I want a 4 1/8 wide piece of white, and I want that to be 1 1/2 inches. Now this is where I'm going to do some sentiment stamping. Happy days. You know what gets said when that happens in our house is, don't chop the dinosaur, from that great old ad that used to be on. Okay, now I am going to, now with this, we're kind of going to pop this together. It's a pretty obvious kind of pattern to put together, but what you'll notice is, oh, and I haven't trimmed these down. I'll get my trimmer back out. I just need to trim these down just to put a little bit of a border around the outside edge. So that was 2, so I'm actually going to chop it down by 1/8 of an inch. So we will be 1 7/8 on this one. So I'm going to have to, I should have chopped this while it was at 4, because it would have been a bit easier to do. I like to do things the hard way. Why not? I think I didn't cut enough off that top one. Or it's cut crooked, maybe? Or did I just cut a 1/16 off instead of an 1/8? You know, I do that quite a lot. So cut 1/8 of an inch off all 3 sides. Don't cut one off the middle, because we've already kind of gone there with cutting the middle piece. That's better. My light's doing a bit of a flickery thing today. What's going on? Maybe it just needs a bit of a little bit more bright. That'll solve it, won't it? Oh, I just looked at the auto captions on Facebook and it said my wife's doing a bit of flickering today. I don't have a wife, and not that there's a problem with that, but I don't have a wife and it is not flickering. Oh, good times. Alrighty. Oh, what have I done here? I've cut a lot off things. That's okay. We can make it even. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ink pad, and I'm actually just going to go straight to the paper, cardstock, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just going to colour this cardstock so that it will match. And this is just a good little tip or trick if you ever don't have the coloured cardstock that you want to put it on. You're happy to have the white on the inside. Just use your ink pad to colour up that cardstock. I'm going quite a ways in, but you know, that's life. But what I want to show you here is with the Gina K inks that we're using, see how it looks really scratchy and patchy at the moment? It doesn't look like a great effect. Let me tell you, whatever is in these ink pads smooths everything out as it dries. So we will go back towards the end when we see this card all complete, and I'll show you how it's kind of smoothed out and how it's come out. It's amazing. And what that means is for anyone who does ink blending, you are in for a treat, because you will ink blend and you'll go, oh my gosh, that's horrible and I can't live with that. Walk away from it for 10 minutes, come back to it, and it will be perfectly smooth, I promise you, unless you've done a really bodgy job of it. But even the beginnerest of beginners will... I wonder what that's going to come up with on auto captions. Even the beginners of beginners. Okay, so I didn't do beginnerist because that's not a word. But you know, who cares? Yeah, so even if you've never inked ink blended before, you'll be able to get a smooth ink color with that. Okay, so what I want to do is we want to try and line these up, and I've actually gone too short off one end, so the sides are going to be a little bit wider, but the ends are going to be a little bit narrower as far as how much cardstock I took off. But we'll figure it out. So I'm just going to leave the black one there in position, roughly, just so that I can put some tape on the back of this one. So I've just got the double-sided, of course I'm doing it off camera because why would I do it on camera for you guys? Bit of double-sided tape. Ta-da! You're going to stop trying to cut straight lines, Margaret. It's cutting straight lines is a bit of a talent. Just peel these little backing strips off. And so my black piece of cardstock should be, although I haven't taped it down, it's pretty close, and I can, while I've got that stuck to my finger, I can kind of muck about a bit with just getting that lined roughly back up where I think it's supposed to go, give or take. Just lay that piece down. So I've got a little bit thinner piece up the top than I do on the sides. But then I'm going to take my black cardstock, I'm going to pop that there. But before I stick that one down, I'm going to take our glitter tape and what I'm going to do here, I might just run some across the middle. Cut that off, bend it around the back, just so it's a nice clean go. That may or may not work with what I'm going to do with my sentiment, but we'll see how we go. We'll see. Take that one off, and of course this one now is in position, so I can just butt this right up against that, make sure it's level on the sides, stick it down, and then pop tape on the third and final piece. Can you see, Tony, can you see that starting to smooth out? You see that there? Like it's not nearly as patchy and stripy as it was before. It kind of just saves, if you can go direct to paper with your inks, it does save an extra kind of layer, thickness of cardstock. So it can sometimes sort of help you out a little bit there. Now I've just got to try and make sure that as I line this up against the black, I'm also lining up this line here for the border edge, just so it's fairly even though it's not, I mean, it is a bit further to the right hand side of the card altogether, but it's at least in line with this. If I push this aside, it would be starting to look a little bit kooky. I think, let's see how this goes. Let's see how it goes. Where is that stamp set? Hello, Paula on Facebook. Thank you for joining us. Learning to be careful cutting. Alrighty, what are we going to do? Celebration. I did time for a party on the other one, so I might do time for a celebration on this one. We may not end up seeing that glitter there. I've kind of made a somewhat executive decision to just leave that alone for the moment. But we'll see how this comes out. Just lining that up, hopefully fairly straight to each other. Yeah. I'm just giving, I don't know that I've used that celebration stamp, so I'm just giving it a little bit of a rub just to condition it, ready to take some ink. I'm going to go with my black amalgam. One of your Crafternoon tea ladies has arrived, Sharon. I'm going to guess that's Miss Gail. Time for a coffee and a chat. Hello, Miss Gail. Alrighty. Let's go. I'm just going to ink this up, and I'm going to do a test on this little piece of just regular photocopy paper that I've popped down the bottom of my table here. Just want to see if that's going to be stamped nicely. Oh, nope. All right, so I've got something going on in here. This might be where using my stamp platform might come in handy. But at least I kind of know I might need to give a little bit more pressure in the middle of that block. Hi Marjorie, thank you for joining us on Facebook. Ta-da! Okay, so as long as I do that on this piece and I do it centered, I'll be all happy. Who said? Tony said, I usually have more white than coloured cardstock. So this is a game changer, it's shortcut. It is a little bit of a shortcut. So it does mean that you can make yourself a little square in your turning template. Just trying to get ink into that little R that seems to not want to play. Try and line this up somewhat straight. I have just partially lifted that block, so we'll see how it goes. Miss Gale's on. Oh, done. Okay, well, this is what happens. So, okay, that's happened. I could either go in there with a black pen and try and match that up, or I can just flip it over because we've got two sides of cardstock and try again. I managed to get a good impression before. I can obviously do it, but this is what happens. This is why we're live, just to show you that it's not, craft is not perfect. I'm just going to pull this down a little bit. I want to try and keep it on screen for you, but I want to be able to see and hold that block. Just give a little bit of extra pressure. I'm trying to put a little bit more into the middle. There we go. Happy days. Ooh, that was a loud noise. Sorry about that. Beautiful. So pop my lid back on that little ink because I don't want that going everywhere. I'll put my dirty ink block. Actually, I'm going to be good. I'm going to wipe that off. I'll clean these stamps properly later on. Much later on, but there we go. Pop that aside into a little spot for cleaning. Pop these little rubbishy bits down. Okay. So I'm going to stick, I don't know if I can find where I put it. Pop some more tape on the back of this little guy. Put it on the bad side that I mis-stamped on. It's kind of good that I re-stamped it because that one was a little bit wonky. I do know some crafters that like to stamp on a slightly larger piece of cardstock and then cut it down to suit, and that is perfectly fine. I just find I can generally get it relatively straight and I can be fairly happy with it. I think I would just be wasting cardstock if I cut it, stamped and cut it down. Ugh. The bane of my existence, guys, these backing papers. Everything goes well until I have to do that. All right, we'll just try and get this into a nice, somewhat central, lined up, even type of spot. Give it a push down, and of course I think from there we need some embellishment, don't we, guys? We need some embellishment. Hello Kay, thanks for joining us on Facebook. Oh Margaret, you've made yourself a Chucky. I haven't made myself a chuck tool yet, so at some point I will. For those who don't know, Margaret and I both follow Gina K Designs, and Gina's friend Chuck made her for her stamp press so that she can put nice even pressure. Gina has a bit of an arthritic problem, so her friend Chuck made her a tool, and if you think of it's kind of like a doorknob that's quite big and chunky that you can kind of hold your hand around. And then on the bottom, he's put a block with felt on the bottom. So she can actually push down on it and give a lot of pressure to her whole stamp platform. And it actually helps you get some really nice, smooth stamped impressions. It's fantastic. Tony's trying to con her partner into making one. Yeah, look, I think that, people have been making them out of the glass jar lids from like Moccona coffee and things like that. They've been using felt pads for like underneath, you know, if you need to put it underneath the leg of a dining table or something so it doesn't scratch your floor, and it's already got that felt pad there. So people being super creative, and just, you know, whatever kind of seems to work, they're going for it. But they're brilliant. Myself, I actually have a and I haven't used it on camera, I don't think, for forever. But I have a whiteboard duster that I got as part of a set with some whiteboard markers and things at some point. And I just commandeered that because I don't use it on the whiteboard. I just use some paper towel and some cleaner. Seems to work pretty well for me. But yeah, I just use that. A finial from an old stair support. Excellent. And put a furniture felt pad on the bottom. Yeah, perfect. Well done, Margaret. And did you make that yourself? I think craft people are all kind of pretty good at making things when it comes to tools that will help us do our thing. All right. What have we got, guys? The rule of 3. Three on each side, that ought to do it. Fairly symmetrical. You know what I'm like. Excellent. So that is my lovely card for today. So we've got that one. We've got the little example one. Your finial has a nasty point on it, Tony. Yeah, don't use that because that's going to hurt. So that is how you can get your square turning template cards to get extended so that you can use them as a full card front for an A6 card. Paula says a small jar glued upside down on a wood block and then a furniture protector. See, you can make them out of anything. Anything. Good old chuck tools. Which nobody understands unless you've watched it and you've kind of found out about Chuck Meadows. Nobody knows what a chucky tool is. And in fact, there are companies now making those kind of tools and they're definitely not called a chuck tool. So don't go Googling chucky tool because no one will find it. But they're my cards for today. So thank you so much for joining me for that. I'll go back to my front camera so I can say hi to you all. So yes, thank you for joining me. We will be back next week now, TBC on whether it will be Saturday or Sunday. It'll just depend on how things go with inspecting the new house. Yay, at last. So it might be a little bit later than usual. Now stay with me if you are, or not with me on this stream, but if you're doing the Crafternoon tea this afternoon, don't forget to log into your emails to find the link to join us in the Google Meet for that one. And be prepared to have your cameras on because there'll be a few games and things where we're going to need your cameras on, we're going to need to see you. Make your cups of tea now, grab your cakes, and we'll have a blast of a time in just a little bit making those daffodils. For those of you who aren't joining us, you can still get in on the action and the fundraising. There will be, as much as the people joining us don't know yet, there's some big prizes coming up. And one of those prizes, in order to win it, we need people to post some photos of their work. Anonymously, they'll send them in to me and then we will post them up on the Facebook page for people to have a little vote. But I know that a lot of our participants are going to be super keen to win that prize, and I won't tell you what it is. I don't want to give away the secret just yet, but it is a cracker. We've never given this one away. It's something that I'm sure everybody who is a Crafternoon Box subscriber is hoping for, wishing for, wanting, and will be delighted to win. So come back and join us. There will be a chance to help us reach our fundraising target. So keep your eye on our Facebook page for that. I'll pop the links up in just a little bit. And yeah, I hope you've had a great time making the cards today. We would love to see your versions of using the turning template or any other crafts that you're getting into this weekend. Throw us a quick little photo up on Facebook, and I'm sure you'll get lots of supportive comments from all of our followers. I think at the moment it's just a matter of somebody breaking the ice. Tony, thank you for your posts. I know you put posts up quite regularly, but I feel like you're a bit alone in that. So we'd like to join in. Everyone is always super supportive of your project, so please post a couple of photos from from time to time. Doesn't have to be every time you make a project, just something that you're super happy with, or something that you want some feedback on, or something where you want to just say, hey, I did this thing and it really went pear-shaped, but I recovered and this is what I did. Just share. It's what we're here for. But thank you for joining us. We will have the launch of the July box on Monday evening at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, so I hope you can join me then as well. But otherwise, enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you're in Victoria, stay safe in our lockdown 4.0. It's good times. And we will see you again very soon. Thanks for joining me, guys. Bye.